I'm going to give you 5 tips for things that I have used in order to help me get rid of social anxiety over time. Social anxiety seems like it's a big deal for people nowadays. I remember having a private conversation with someone that I grew up with one day, and they told me that all of the fears and anxiety triggers that I thought I had, they told me that those were pretty much the same for them. And I noticed as I grew up, many people do not like to be around a lot of people. Some types of people don't have the confidence to be around a lot of people, and we tend to get stiff or afraid or in our head thinking about what others think about us. In this video, I'm going to share some 5 tips. Hopefully, one of these, or at least maybe all of these, can be useful to helping you. First tip, which is going to probably have the longest explanation, is make an effort to put yourself into a social group. This was one of the biggest changes that I made in my life in my 20s that really changed how I felt and dealt with social anxiety. When I was in my 20s, I used to collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And if you don't know what that is, it's just a trading card game based on a TV show that was technically written for children. And one day when I was in my 20s, I realized, hey, there's a card shop and a community of people that go to these card shops, and they play in tournaments and trade cards, and they talk about their collections together. After discovering this, I immediately became interested in this because I knew around these people I should feel a lot more comfortable speaking, versus before then I would not be the first person to speak up in many social situations. I immediately jumped into that community, and over time I started building relationships. I made new friends for people that played Yu-Gi-Oh card games, and I found out they had other fandoms that aligned with what I liked. And this was crazy because in those groups, I felt like I had no real social anxiety at all. I felt more comfortable with being myself, expressing my interest in the things that I like. And it was like a vice versa thing. Those people, you could see their energy didn't feel weird to I didn't feel weird to them. They probably didn't feel weird to me. Occasionally, yes, you would see someone that may not have done so well with getting through that social anxiety, but it is the first step to making an attempt. So you could try what I did when I was in my 20s, is find you a social group that aligns with your interests. And of course, you can do this in person, and you could also do this in an online fashion. I would recommend trying to do it in person because that will probably be one of the better ways to get rid of some of your social anxiety, is interacting with someone face to face, because that involves body language as well. The second tip that I recommend for you to help get through your social anxiety is say no when you really don't want to do it. You got to learn to say no when you really feel it and when you really mean it. A lot of people put themselves in situations where they're committing to things that they don't really want to do, and it causes anxiety and stress to fulfill those things, although they truly feel like they cannot do it or they do not want to do it. You may have experienced this yourself. The trick here is to learn to say no and become more confident in speaking about who you really are on the inside. Saying no to something or someone is the best thing you can do. People actually respect the truth more than you think. And typically you just have to get out of your head of that someone is not going to like you just because you say no. It is a possibility, but once you try it a little bit more, you will see that learning to say no will help alleviate some of your anxiety and stress about social situations. Third tip, which I believe is going to be highly underrated and is very basic, is improving your diet to make it more healthy and beneficial to your brain function and your energy levels. This is one of the biggest changes that I made in the most recent year that really took the way that I dealt with social settings and talking to people to the next level. When you do healthy eating strategies that align with your body, you have no idea the mindset that you're changing up here. You will feel almost unstoppable sometimes when you treat yourself well. It literally raises your level of confidence, and also when you have confidence when you're in a social situation, you don't tend to think so much. And that's what a lot of social anxiety is you're around people and you're thinking about what this person's thinking of you or what you're thinking about yourself, about how you look. And the trick is to actually work on improving yourself. And that first step is through diet. If you improve your diet, you will feel a lot more confident and energetic about your life, everything about you. And that's where it starts. It's internal. Social anxiety is really just you battling with your own brain, and healthy eating can contribute to improving the way you deal with that. Four of what you can do to improve your social anxiety is adopt a anti-anxiety lifestyle. And I'll give you an example. For me, what I like to do is make sure my home is one of the least stressful places that I'm going to be. Chances are you may be home a lot. So you do want to make sure your home environment is at least not as stressful as the other places. And you're saying, what do you mean by that? What I consider stressful is if I have a lot of things scattered everywhere, if I have a messy home, then that actually causes anxiety. So if I'm living in a place that is full of things that trigger anxiety, therefore, when am I ever going to get rid of this? How am I going to learn to relax when my brain is always living in that environment? So what I do is I do my best to minimize how much I have. I cannot stand having a lot of things because it is harder and more time consuming to keep things organized and clean the more things I have that are not needed. You can find out how to organize better by watching other YouTube videos. I've looked at a few myself, but I pretty much already have my own ideas laid out for what I want my place to feel and look like. That's why I do not like to have a lot of things. I realize I do a lot better mentally, and so my home is really the most relaxing place I can be. So turn your home into the most anti-anxiety environment possible. Number 5, the last thing that you can do that I'm going to recommend to help with your social anxiety is look inward to yourself and realize, hey, I know I'm not perfect, but no one else is as well. And stop looking at yourself as if you have to appear perfect to other people. People don't care, all right? They don't care. They're not thinking about you as much as you think. And you put more pressure on yourself to be perfect, and that's really causing your anxiety. You think if you make a mistake in front of someone, it comes off way worse than what it really is. And you have to allow yourself grace just as you do others, that you are going to make mistakes in life. You are not going to be perfect. And also try not to judge others as harshly either, because when you start to do that, typically you will have to look back inward eventually to see, do you have all your ducks in a row? And the truth is nobody does. Nobody has everything in a row. No matter how successful you see someone on the internet, they have something that is in the back of their mind that they are not good at, that bothers them. Everybody has something, but the truth is you have to start realizing that, hey, I'm not perfect and I'm not supposed to be. Once you wrestle with that thought and get it through your head and start changing your mindset of who you should be versus who you really are, you will instantly you'll start making that change to improve how you deal with social anxiety.